Imagine being so good at chess that you get two queens on the board at the same time in a World Chess Championship match. He did it. Magnus Carlsen. The current score of this game is 5 to 3 with Magnus Carlsen having 5 points. So Vishwanathan Anand desperately needed to win this game. So he played an opening that he has good chances to win. So d4 knight f6, c4 e6, knight c3, bishop to b4, the Nimzo Indian defense. Very aggressive play style from black. Now white plays f3, the fourth most popular move. The idea of f3 is to potentially play g4 and h4 to pawn storm, as Vishy needs to really win this game. So that's d5 now. e3 takes c5. This is all in theory. Pawn takes e3. White is supporting his center. There's pawn to c4, knight g2, knight c6. Now Vishy is showing why he played f3. He plays g4. Now he's trying to pawn storm the black king. Magnus anyways castles. The bishop is developed. Now this 95, black is threatening to come into b3 and potentially get rid of this attacking bishop. Now white plays short castle, very logical. He's getting out of the center and the rook is now becoming a little better. Magnus plays knight b3. Now these two pieces are forked and this bishop is a really good defender of this pawn and soon it will be a really good defender of this pawn. So Magnus plays knight b3 to potentially take out this bishop. Now Vishy plays a nice move rook a2. And now the rook is threatening to come here at some point or f2 to help in the attack, which it does later in the game. Magnus plays pawn to b5, and the whole idea of this f3 is that white gets the kingside play and black will get the queenside play. As you can see, he also has the majority of 3 to 4. So there's knight g3, Vishy is bringing more pieces to the king side. Now this a5, as I already mentioned, there's going to be a pawn storm. g5, the knight is attacked. Now there's knight e8. Now Vishy plays pawn e4, and the idea of this is to potentially play pawn e5 to clamp down on the king side, or he may take at some point, which he can right now because after takes, queen takes. There's f4 and there's this long diagonal skewer that's going to happen and black's going to lose a rook. So Magnus takes the bishop. This bishop was attacking. It was defending this pawn as well. And now Vishy has to take back. And now the queen on c1 is tied to defend the g5 pawn, which the bishop was originally doing. But now Magnus plays rook a6. He's getting out of any pawn takes, queen takes, f4 ideas where there's this skewer. Now Vishy plays e5. The idea is to play f4, f5 and f6 and try to break open this black defensive pawn position. Now there's knight c7 in nice move. He's threatening knight e6 to defend or just get out the way for the rook to come over. There's pawn f4, nice move. As I told you, he's trying to do this. Now b4 is played. Magnus is trying to get a passed pawn on the queen side. There's pawn takes, rook takes rook, knight takes rook. That's a nice move because this knight was anyways useless on c7. There's f5, as I told you, Vishy is still trying to push for the win. Now b3, Magnus makes a passed pawn, which is actually crucial in the later stages of this game. Now queen f4 is played. Vishy is going for an all-out attack because, as I told you, it's a must-win game. Now there's knight to c7, it's a nice move. The knight is coming back to defend this so that the queen is free to move around wherever it wants to. Now Vishwanathan Anand makes a slight mistake while playing pawn to f6. The actual best move was queen h4. Now white is threatening this and potentially knight h5 ideas. But f6 was a bit premature. Now there's g6, that's a nice move, but if black ever took, there would be some serious consequences on this black king. So there's queen h4, that's okay. Then knight to e8 was another mistake by Magnus, allowing queen h6, which is a really nice move. Now Vishy threatens rook f4 and then rook h4, and that's unstoppable mate over here. And the knight can't even take to get rid of the clamp on this square because there are two pawns defending. Now there's b2. Now black is trying to use this pawn as a distraction to keep this rook over here. Now there's rook to f4 and black queens. So now there are two moves over here. There's knight f1 and bishop f1. Unfortunately for Vishy, he played the wrong one, knight f1, and he's completely lost here because of queen e1. And now if there's ever rook h4, there's queen into h4 and there's no more attack. So what happens after queen check, there's bishop to f1. So that's the best move actually in this position, and where Magnus has to give up his second queen in this manner. This is a brilliant move for some reason, I do not know why. But now after knight into, pawn into, rook into, there's this nice bishop to f5 variation, and now this position is equal because these pawns are way too strong and these black pieces cannot move out. Now this knight cannot move out ideally because of checkmates, so this rook is also stuck over here. and the white pieces can move around nicely. So this is a draw, but I think he chose knight f1 to try to confuse Magnus. Vishy actually resigned right about here, and then he drew the next game, so he lost the world chess title to Magnus.